All right, Arzu, thank you so much for all those details. In fact, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio will hold a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi today. The crucial meeting is expected to focus on strengthening India-US ties with key issues including energy security, bilateral trade, defense cooperation, Indo-Pacific strategy, technology cooperation and regional security. This comes as part of Rubio's 4-day visit to India, during which he will also attend the Quad Summit. Let's in fact take a look at what all may be discussed during this all-important bilateral meet, because this will help you give you a perspective of what all issues can in fact be discussed during the bilateral meet. Obviously, we remember that Rubio, before embarking for India, had stated that US wanted to deal in energy with India. So let's look at the top agenda or focus items. What all will be discussed: energy security cooperation, focus on increasing US energy exports to India to reduce dependence on Russian oil amid the global price fluctuations. Now remember that India has been importing some Russian oil over the past few months, and because of the Iran war situation, those sanctions that were put by US on Russian oil have also come down, and hence it has been a relief for India. But US is now looking at expanding the energy sector and expanding energy trade with India. So hence they will also look at discussing this, at expanding the energy ties. Let's look at bilateral trade enhancement, which is aimed at boosting trade volume, resolving trade tariff issues and improving market access for both the countries. Now remember that over the past year or so, since Donald Trump has in fact taken office, India has been facing some sort of a tariff war with US, and that has been on and off depending on the social media posts that US President Donald Trump put out. So India will be looking forward to a formalization of trade tariffs, if there are any, and it will also look forward to reduction of such tariffs and increase in bilateral trade between both the nations. Let's look at defense and strategic partnership. Strengthening defense ties, co-production of weapons and expanding joint military exercises. So we already hold one joint military exercise with the US forces. We'll be looking at more such exercises throughout the year. We'll be looking at joint production of weapons that will help bolster our own indigenous capabilities and also push forward our Atmanirbhar Bharat aim. So we will be looking at defense sector as well during these talks. Let's look at Indo-Pacific and Quad coordination. Coordinating strategy in the Indo-Pacific through the Quad to maintain regional stability and also counter China. So India has been the leader of the global South, with it leading the nations in the Quad. There's Australia there as well. So in the Indo-Pacific region, US will also like to have a say, like to have some influence in that, and hence they are in fact looking to enhance Quad cooperation as well and counter China per se in the region. Let's look at technology and critical minerals. Collaboration on advanced technology, semiconductors and secure supply chains for critical minerals. Remember that they are trying to counter China. So most of the supply chains are heavily dependent on China. So they want to bolster alternate supply chains as well. They will also be looking at developing all such semiconductor industry, because we are looking forward to cleaner, greener energy, EVs, which is used over there. So we are looking towards that. Let's look at regional security issues, discussions on terrorism, Pakistan, China's assertiveness and recent developments in West Asia. So obviously this is Marco Rubio. He is the Secretary of State. He will in fact be discussing matters of vital importance, of geopolitical importance with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, including China. Terrorism has been a big issue that India has been raising time and again. Also Pakistan and the recent developments in West Asia. So we will also be discussing the West Asia crisis, which has led to an energy crisis across the globe and across nations. So these are some of the areas that they will in fact be looking to discuss. A lot on the agenda, from defense to trade to also regional cooperation. Let's in fact take this discussion forward with Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, who's a former diplomat, who's joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and for speaking to NewsX. We appreciate it. Ambassador, first of all, good afternoon. I want to understand what, as per your observation, will be the key focus area for talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio.
Good afternoon, Shivani. This is a very important visit. You see, after the new government took over in US, Vice President Vance had come and visited India. He paid a bilateral visit soon after that. And thereafter, I think Prime Minister Modi had gone to Washington once and he paid a visit. But particularly since June last year, when Prime Minister and President Trump met in Canada during the G7 summit, after that, I think India-US relations have somehow suffered some sort of stress. What happened was that US invited, or US President invited Munir, the Field Marshal from Pakistan, to have lunch with him. A army chief of a terrorist state and also who was deeply involved in Pahalgam massacre was given this honor. Obviously, India did not like it. Then beyond that, after that, actually, US even imposed a supplementary tariff of 50% on Indian exports to US on the ground that India was importing oil from Russia. This tariff was not imposed on any other country except India. India was the only country which was singled out and this supplementary tariff was imposed. Though subsequently the tariff and the supplementary tariff were invalidated by the Supreme Court of US, and therefore that was discontinued, that had to be discontinued. But this spoiled, or I would say, soured our relationship to some extent with US. And thereafter, US was closely interacting with Pakistan. Pakistan was also involved in, facilitating the talks with Iran, and all those things happened. After all this, 6, 7, rather I would say 8 months period, in which our, talks suffered, our relations suffered a bit. Now Rubio has come to India, so I think we should welcome. They want to mend the ties, that is very clear. And the trade deal is still pending. That trade deal has to be signed. So talks will be held on that. Rubio, before arrival here, he very clearly said that they would be willing to export as much energy to India as they want. That was his statement. He also said that India is a great country and our partnership is, flourishing with India. So these were very positive remarks made by him. He landed in Calcutta, and he went to the missionary of charity, first visit there. Basically, this is, to show his sympathy towards Christianity and to the missionaries who are working there. And also partly because the first consulate of US was opened in Calcutta during the time of our colonial rule. So that was another region. Now, India will be, organizing an event in Bharat Mandapam to celebrate the 250th anniversary of US independence, and Marco Rubio will be addressing that. I think that is supposed to be today, sometime, or maybe tomorrow. I think supposed to be tomorrow. Today he will call on the Prime Minister. During the call on, obviously some issues will come up. West Asia issue, energy issue and trade issue. I think these are the three areas of focus. West Asia, particularly because of Strait of Hormuz, is now, restricted passage, and the supplies of oil and gas to India has been restricted because of that. Oil prices have gone up, almost doubled from 62 to 113, $114, which is causing a lot of stress in India. And then, of course, the trade deal which has to be finalized. Negotiations have been held on many occasions, but final signatures have to be done after giving it a final touch. And then, of course, the Quad will be discussed in the meeting on Monday. The Quad foreign ministers, that Australia, Japan, India, and US, they will be meeting, and this is the fourth meeting. That would be a separate agenda altogether. But before that, he will also meet Dr. S. Jaishankar to discuss bilateral issues that will include the more or less similar things, the situation in West Asia, and the trade issues, as well as defense related issues. And
Right.
India is also closely cooperating with the US on defense matters and joint exercises, transfer of technology. US is also interested to sell its F-35 aircraft to India, and India is still evaluating which aircraft to buy, so that will also perhaps come up on the agenda. So these are some of the issues which I expect to come up to
Absolutely.
mend the sourness which had come in our relations during the last 6-7 months. Over to you,
Absolutely.
Shivani.
Absolutely, Ambassador. Some very vital points listed by you, but I also want your perspective on Quad, because this is something that India has been building towards. We also want to, counter China. The US also might want to look at this, but this comes at a time when Trump just visited China, Beijing. He came back from there, and right after that, he sent his Secretary of State to India.
Raised a very pertinent question. There's already a talk that after Trump's visit to China, and after Trump's showering of praise on Xi and China, he is actually relegating the Quad issue to a lower level, which I think is true, because the Quad head of states meeting is supposed to take place later this year, but I don't think that is going to happen. Quad foreign ministers meeting will happen now, but whether the head of states meeting will happen is a big question. I don't think that would happen, because for that Trump will have to come to India. Whether he is willing to come, whether he is willing to give a high profile role to Quad, I don't know, because the Quad has been actually coming up and down. Right now, it appears that US has relegated it to a secondary level, and that is the opinion in external affairs ministry, as well as the people who are known for their expertise in foreign affairs. So this is what I feel, particularly after his praise for Xi and China during the recent visit to Beijing. So I hope the Quad issue comes up properly, because China still poses a threat to the South China Sea. There are very small countries there like Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia. They are all somewhat scared of Chinese, what you call domination in South China Sea. Sometimes they have also taken over some small islands and put their bases there. So all these issues are important. South China Sea is like an international waterway. It should be free. It should not be used like what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran is trying to control. I think that should not be allowed anywhere in the world, and that is extremely important. No waterway which is of international nature should be controlled by any country around the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your valuable perspective.